Lex, thank you very much for that update. We have located a leopard here. Chasing his Impala, it's got no chance though, but it is going to make for some interesting viewing. Where has it gone? It's in no way it's going to be able to catch one now that they know where it is, but I'm just going to try and get into position to see its behavior and make sure we don't lose it. Because it may at some point now decide to run off after it realizes it's been made a fool of. Where has it gone? Can you believe it? It seems like it's further down this way. There's more Impala. There's a lot of Impala in this area. And I can hear more alarm calls coming from down here, so he may have continued down this way. I hope we don't lose him now after having just found him. I've just got a glimpse of him. Oh no. See, the tricky thing is for us now is that a lot of these Impala will be alarm calling simply because they can hear the others alarm calling and they're just jumping on the bandwagon. So it's not necessarily because it's close to them or that they can see them. Good morning. For a moment there I thought we had completely lost him. Now it was important for me to drive off and try and keep an eye on him, otherwise I knew we would lose him. And I was also 99% sure that us driving into the bush would have no impact on his already failed attempt at hunting. The fact that he did run after them after they had already been alarming for minutes before we got here is testament to him being a youngster. And most adult leopards, as soon as an alarm call is let off, they will no longer try and hunt their prey because they know without the elements of surprise and without that element of ambush, they've got little or no chance of catching any prey. He is going to continue trying though, as like I say, there's a lot of Impala in this area. And who knows, he could get lucky, but now that the word is out, the odds are stacked heavily against you. Quarantine, and this is quarantine male. This windy weather does help him. There's a slight breeze. And it does mean there's a small chance that his approach would be muffled. But again, I cannot emphasize enough that lion and leopard rely on the elements of surprise, and without it, they will battle to take down their prey. Cheetah and wild dog are slightly different because of the incredible speeds that they can move at, and that's for cheetah, and for wild dog, the endurance and stamina that they have, that they can run down their prey, and therefore rely less on an ambush than lion and leopard will. Great that there's tracks of a female leopard in this area, and it could very well be that it was his mother, Karula. And you may have remembered I stopped and said there was tracks of a female leopard not far from where we found him, so who knows, potentially they bumped into one another last night and she left him here and continued on her way. Now there's a hyena that's come to investigate. Straight ahead of us there, Viam. It is quite thick. But understandably, hyena will, you'll see it moving, it's well done. Excuse me. Hyena will come and investigate. Because the Impala have been alarm calling for so long and there's another hyena joining, the hyena will assume that a kill has been made. As I said on the way here, Impala will alarm call for prolonged periods of time and with increased intensity if a kill is made. And because of this leopard's behavior, and instead of getting out of the area, as most adult leopards would do as soon as an alarm call's let off, he stayed in the area and therefore caused a false sense of alarm calls, and that it appears that to these hyena that a kill will be here, judging by the amount the Impala have been alarming. Now the wind is blowing very slowly, very slightly towards the hyena, and I think there's a third hyena on the scene now, and they are in all likelihood going to be able to smell this leopard and come all the way up to it, and then we're going to see some interesting interaction. So let's see how powerful these hyenas' sense of smell is. I think they're going to find him, even though he hasn't walked at all in that area where they are. They may loop around and find a scent trail from behind us, or they may in fact just be able to pick up the breeze that's blowing slightly in their favor. Hyenas are doing some pasting there, and that is how they mark their territories. They will wipe their anus on pieces of grass and or sticks to leave their scent trail, and it appears that they have not picked up the scent of the leopard yet. But we're not going to go anywhere, and I feel that they're going to loop around this area until they find his scent, and then that will lead them all the way to him. Let's wait and see. Oh, the leopards already decided to just start slinking off as the hyena have begun to approach. Lexi's just got up and is mobile slowly west, so maybe wait where you are there. you keep heading in that direction, that'll work well. Well, isn't this wonderful? These hyenas certainly are excited, and I think now it's picked up the scent, because look at how intensely it's holding its head up, sniffing the air. It can smell this leopard, and it's going to come right to where the leopard was lying, unless it's just seen it, I think. It's just seen the leopard, and now it's going to run up to it, and sadly, the leopard now is going to run off. But once it has run off a short distance, it will probably try and get up a tree, and or the hyena will give up and realize that it doesn't have any meat. Well, I hope we're going to be able to find him again after he's run off. But such great visuals of these hyena in the meantime. And they're going to sniff about now and see if they can't find any kill, which they aren't going to, because there is no kill here. So we'll leave them to it and try to get this leopard. Oh, wonderful. Here he is. So as I said, there was a strong chance he was going to pop up into a tree to escape the hyena, and rather than running off huge distances, he knows as soon as he's up a tree, he's completely safe. Just going to try and move forward a centimetre or two so we can enjoy this visual of him up in the tree. It doesn't look very comfortable up there, so I'm not sure how long this is going to last. Quite funny how he's leaning his head almost sleepily against that branch. That is now broken. And I can hear the hyena approaching, and that's what he's looking at very intently. There's the hyena, and it could well let off a snarl, which would be great for us, and hiss at the hyena in frustration. Is he going to? I've just got a question through on Twitter from Mida, asking whether these are the hyena from the hyena den site, the mothers of the cubs. And it looks like they could be, but to be honest, I haven't had a close enough look just yet with all the action that's been going on, so I cannot confirm that, but it's certainly a possibility. Thanks, Lex. Well, Lex as I said on the way here, was sitting at the hyena den site when he heard the Impala alarm calling, and he gave us that update. And thankfully he did, because it was his knowledge of the Impala alarm calling that led us to this leopard. And he noticed all the hyena from the den site left the den site and came to this area, so it certainly is the same hyena from the den. And how wonderful that that can be confirmed by somebody that was sitting at the den site as it all unfolded. It really does look like he's going to try and sleep standing up with his head rested against this branch. And maybe he's feeling sorry for himself after a long night out and a failed attempt at hunting this morning. But this is quite bizarre. I don't think I've ever seen a leopard sleeping whilst standing up in a tree. Who would have thought? It really is incredible how behavior of animals differs. Now, it was just a few nights ago that we saw this very same leopard lying just meters away from a hyena as the hyena fed on its kill that possibly this leopard did make. That can't be confirmed, but we could assume the leopard did kill the Impala at Buffelshoek Dam a few days ago. Yet, a few days later, it sees not the same hyena, different hyena, and steers away from any potential danger. So just interesting to bear that in mind, and especially when answering questions out here, it can be very difficult to say what would happen in any given scenario, because it always depends on the specific incident. This doesn't look like it's going to be the most glamorous of descents. Judging by his belly, it doesn't look like he's fed since he finished his kill at Buffelshoek Dam, which was 2 evenings ago, I believe, was the last time we saw him there. made him. He's going for another tree. We're in luck. The hyena have followed suit and are now at the base of the tree. Sadly, we're not in the best position as it stands, but he could move around, so I'm not going to reposition just yet. Barbara on Twitter is understanding that leopard is the alpha animal out here, and sadly, Barbara, that is a misunderstanding. They are not the alpha animal in this ecosystem, and if any animal was to be, it would be lion. Lion are above leopard, and leopard are above cheetah. Between leopard and hyena, though, as I just said, it does depend on the individual scenario and situation that unfolds. But why would this young leopard take any risks? It's got no medical aid or health insurance. So any injury, big or small, could lead to death. It's got nothing to lose here other than pride by climbing up these trees. It doesn't have a kill that it's going to have to abandon. So there's no reason why it would want to have a confrontation unnecessarily with these hyena. There's also 3 of them and 1 of him. And hyena are very formidable animals, and a bite from a hyena could cause huge damage to this leopard. So that is why it is not taking any chances and rather avoiding confrontation at all costs. Just got a comment from Tina in Houston, and she's noticed a scar on the rump of, I think it's this hyena, and I think she actually just licked that scar now. And that is the mother of the larger cub at the den sites, and the female without the scars on her rump is the mother of the 2 smaller hyena cubs. Isn't this wonderful interaction that we're seeing here? And really quite phenomenal. Just got a question through from Bonnie in Pennsylvania. And Bonnie's interested to know whether I'm using my new lens. And yes, Bonnie, I am indeed, and it's a lovely piece of equipment that really is enjoyable to use, and I'm hoping it's going to take my photography to the next level. And it's a little treat I got myself, thanks to everyone that did contribute to the tip jar from the initial production here at Juma that ended on the 31st of January. This is an extension of that project, and a huge thank you to all of you who did contribute to that, because without you I would not have this lens right now. So thank you very much. I'm surprised that these hyena are still hanging around, because you would have assumed that they've established that there's no food and therefore no reason for them to hang around here. But maybe they feel like he's hiding something from them. No, this leopard appears like it's going to need to find a comfortable branch, but sadly this brown ivory tree that it's sitting in does not have many comfortable branches or horizontal branches. I've got a few questions coming through. Interested to know how long the hyena will hang around for. And it's a good question. Like I say, I don't know why they are hanging around, because you would have thought that they would have established that there's no meat in the area. But like I did just say, maybe they feel like he's hiding something from them. What a beautiful sight this is, and we've got lucky because he's now moved into the perfect spot for us, and he is performing accordingly. Sorry, go again with that, please. D. Hodgkins on Twitter is interested to know if he did come down from the tree now, would the hyena follow him? And I think the answer to that question is yes. I think they would follow him, just as they followed him from the last tree he came down to the tree that he's just come up. So I think they would follow him. And hyena are also known to follow leopard even without kills, in the knowing that there's a strong chance that the... Oh no, what's he trying to do? Is he stuck? Yeah, he's stuck. That is embarrassing. Sorry, buddy. Not your proudest moment.
Yeah, rough Friday night.
Exactly.
Saturday night.
Yeah, obviously it is the weekend and maybe he's been having more fun than he should have been last night. And now he's got himself into a spot of bother. He's trying to get comfortable so that he can sleep. And he's kind of sacrificed his right leg there as some kind of a wedge. But as I was saying, hyena will follow leopard in the knowing that eventually a leopard will make a kill, and if they are close enough behind it, then they'll be able to steal it immediately. That's not necessarily the case now, but I guess in the back of these hyenas' mind, they know there's more chance of coming across food if they stay with this leopard as opposed to leaving it. Well, shame, he really is tired, and we saw him in the previous tree that he was in, trying to kind of sleeping, standing up, with his head resting against a branch. Now he's made an attempt at trying to get comfortable, but it certainly doesn't look like he is, so it'll be interesting to see how long he manages to maintain this position for. No, not very long, it doesn't look like. Doug in the USA is interested to know if the hyena are watching this leopard very closely because it's close to their den sites, and I don't think that's the case. He's not close enough to be of any threat to those cubs. Probably about half a mile from here is the den site, so I don't think that is a contributing factor to the hyena's behavior, Doug. Oh, there we go. It's a work in progress, getting the right position here. appears he's got into a relatively comfortable position, and just to give you the full perspective of what exactly is going on here, we've got Quarantine, this young male leopard, sleeping in the tree, uncomfortably so, and just on the ground below it are some hyena, which are sleeping, looking a lot more comfortable than the leopard at the moment. And there were 3 hyena here earlier. I can only see 2 now. Not sure where the third could be. But now you've got an idea of what's going on. And for those of you who have joined more recently on the show this morning, we got an update from Lex, who's a guide driving some of his guests around this area as well. And he was at the hyena den site, which was active, and he was enjoying a sighting there when he started hearing Impala alarm calling very intensely, and he put that update over the radio waves, and I was relatively close by, so decided to hurry along to get into that area to see what the Impala were alarm calling at. And lo and behold, this is who we found. So I got very lucky, and it was thanks to Lex's update. And it is so important, the teamwork out here, in order to find animals. As soon as we did find Quarantine, he did chase after a few Impala in desperation, but without the elements of surprise, he would have almost no chance of catching one. And a few moments later, the hyena arrived on the scene, and they are the same hyena from the hyena den site where we do spend time. Copy, sounds good.
There's the third hyena.
Behind us. Okay, so VM has just spotted the third hyena. It's a little bit further behind us and not sleeping, on the move. There's apparently a lot of questions coming through interested to know whether leopards ever fall out of trees when they're sleeping. And not that I've ever seen, and I find it highly unlikely that they would. They will, of course, however, especially when they're young, possibly take a tumble out of a tree, or in a situation where they may be under attack from other leopards or even lion trying to climb the same tree that they're in. They may have to do an emergency exit jump, but I've never known of any leopards to make serious fools of themselves falling out of trees. One time when they will jump out of trees is when they find themselves lying up in a tree and a herd of Impala or Nyala or any prey item ends up coming below that tree through default, and the leopard therefore only has to spring directly down onto them to catch them. And there are a few clips of some incredible footage of leopards jumping directly out of trees down onto their prey. I saw one fairly recently where the leopard must have dropped about 8 meters down onto its prey, which is an incredibly high drop. Probably around 25 feet is my conversion. That could be off, but around 25 feet from the ground. This leopard jumped down onto an Impala, so really incredible what they can do. Well, just to reiterate, I did mention a few moments ago that the hyena's den site is probably about half a mile away from where we are here as the crow flies. So the hyena are certainly not concerned that the leopard is too close to their den. And I think it's purely them hoping to get a free meal from this leopard. That is why they are hanging around. Looks like it's a bit of a standoff though, but the good news is Mark is going to be arriving at Buffalo's Hook Dam shortly, so hopefully he's going to find some action there. There's been some great action at that waterhole over the last few drives, so maybe it'll be worth catching up with Mark and seeing how his morning's been up till now, and we'll be sure to let Nikki and Final Control know if anything changes here.
No car